A summer when you were 9 lasted a geological age. Last year took about 4 minutes. Nothing about time changed. Something about you did. That is the basic fact we are going to sit with. Not explain, not solve, just sit with it for a moment, because it is genuinely strange. You have experienced more seconds. You have accumulated more hours. Your life has objectively gotten longer, and yet it is moving faster. That should not be possible. Time is time, a second is a second, but somehow, between childhood and now, the rate has shifted. Most people blame one thing. They have probably told you this explanation themselves. It sounds so obvious that once you hear it, you stop thinking about it. But the actual research on this question is different than what everyone repeats, and the answer is darker than the standard version, because it is not about time at all. Let us start with the famous explanation, the proportional theory. Here is how it works. When you are 5 years old, 1 year is 1/5 of your entire life. It is enormous. It is 20% of everything you have ever experienced. When you are 50, 1 year is only 1/50th of your life, just 2%. So each year feels progressively smaller the older you get, in proportion to the total time you have lived. The math is clean, the logic is clean. You have probably heard a dozen versions of this explanation because it is everywhere. It is probably wrong. Here is the problem. If time actually scaled proportionally to your lifetime, then the effect should be consistent across all time periods. The slowdown you feel over 10 years should be roughly twice as strong as the slowdown you feel over 5 years, because the proportions scale the same way. Wittmann and Lehnhoff tested this in 2005. They did not find it. Friedman and Janssen tested it again in 2010. Same result. The proportional theory does not match the data. That matters because every other explanation you will find online stops at this point. They build it up, explain it, and assume it is true. But the actual research moved on. The actual research found something else. In 2005, Marc Wittmann and Sandra Lehnhoff at Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich published the first comprehensive study of subjective time across the entire adult lifespan, almost 500 people, ages 14 to 94. They asked them how fast time was passing. Hours, days, weeks, months, years, decades. The surprising result was this. For hours, weeks, and months, there was almost no difference between the young and the old. Everyone said time was moving fast. The age effect did not show up there. It showed up on essentially one question. How fast did the past 10 years pass for you? That was where older adults diverged. The effect peaked around age 50, but here is what you need to know. The effect was small to moderate. It explained at most 10% of the variance. The difference was real. It has been replicated multiple times, but it was not the overwhelming force that people imagine. Time is not actually accelerating. The effect is real, but it is subtle, which means the proportional theory was not just wrong, it was measuring the wrong thing. Here is what the data actually points to. The key clue is that the effect only appears across decades. You do not judge a decade while you are living it. You cannot. You are inside it. You judge it afterwards by how much of it you can retrieve. How much of those 10 years left a mark? How many moments are still retrievable? Novelty produces dense, retrievable memory. Routine produces almost nothing worth keeping. A year of first times leaves a thick file. A year of identical Tuesdays leaves a thin one. The duration is the same, but what remains is completely different. Think about childhood. Almost everything was happening for the first time. The first day of school, the first time you rode a bike, the first time you felt heartbreak, the first time you tasted something strange, the first time you stayed up past midnight, the first time you traveled alone. Everything was novel, everything was shocking, everything got filed away. A year of that produces an enormous amount of retrievable memory. So when you look back, it feels like it lasted forever. Now think about your life now. You have been to work before. You know what your coffee tastes like. You know your commute. You know your friends. You know the pattern. The same Thursday happens again and again and again. Nothing is novel, nothing is shocking. Most of it never makes it into memory at all. So when you look back at a year like that, there is almost nothing there. It collapses. The supporting evidence is remarkably specific. Researchers looked at adults aged 20 to 59. They split them into two groups: adults with children, adults without children. Adults with children reported the past 10 years passing faster than adults the same age without children. And adults with more children reported it faster still. Gender made no difference. Education made no difference. Only novelty. Only the things that break routine. Only the things that force you to retrieve and remember. Which means we have been asking the wrong question this whole time. Time is not speeding up. Your life is producing less that is worth keeping, and that is where this gets uncomfortable. Childhood felt enormous because it was made of novelty. You were learning the world. You were experiencing almost everything for the first time. Of course, a year felt endless. Every moment was packed with something new. But adulthood compresses because you have built a life that repeats. You have optimized your environment. You know what to expect. You have stopped being surprised. The routine is comfortable. The routine is efficient. The routine is completely invisible to memory, which means the thing that makes time feel long is not age at all. It is novelty. It is shock. It is the moments that force you to pay attention. And the uncomfortable version of this is simple. The more comfortable and settled your life becomes, the less of it you will have afterwards. The smoother it runs, the less it remains. You can feel time slowing down right now if you do something new. Travel somewhere unfamiliar. Learn a skill you have never attempted. Break the pattern. Force yourself to be a beginner again. For a few weeks or a few months, you will retrieve things. You will remember. And when you look back, that period will feel disproportionately long because it actually had content. But most people do not do that. Most people build lives that are increasingly predictable, and then they wonder why those lives, when remembered, collapse into nothing. Time is not accelerating. You are erasing it.